Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I have the pleasure of introducing to you in the red in the top left, it's Team Liquid's Frenchman. It's Clem. Up against the most entertaining player in the world, in my not so humble opinion. In the bottom right, in the blue, it's the final boss. It's Dark. We've seen these two face off 3-4 times in the last month, since the not so new balance patch and another Best-of-5 World versus Korea match. I don't know who has the edge. I want to say Clem, but I think it's always a mistake to bet against Dark. What are you betting on? Let me know in the comments after you like and subscribe. Jimmy, what are we at? 1,173 likes on this cast, on this series, on this probably not short experience, and I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better, as both these players willing to push the boundaries, to kind of shift the meta around their own. Well, Dark is more like he doesn't so much shift the meta as the meta shifts around him. And already starting out, he's got 150 gas in the bank after finishing speed. It was just pointed out there. And Zergling speed already... Yeah, that's a quick speed. Zergling speed's not supposed to be done till 3:30. That's the timing. So not a hatch first. I'm sorry, I was pontificating in those... I thought I did a pretty good job on the introductions, but the time for introductions has ended, and the time of the Zergling has begun. And yes... bring your emotional support, Zerglings. Give them a few SCVs to gnaw on. 2 down so far. Got the Reaper as well, I think. Dark trying to get the jump on any sort of early aggression Clem might want to bring to the table. And Clem, the master of early aggression in general, but not this time around. That's 2 factories, though. The new Cyclone. Much like the old Cyclone, but not... Well, the older Cyclone, not the medium... Anyways, the new spammable Cyclone from the reactor using Hurricane thrusters to start. We saw Cure mess around. Clem actually did a few of these builds right when we were still figuring out the initial parts of the balance patch, but it feels like Zergs, especially Zergs like Dark, have kind of figured it out. And Roaches and Zerglings are more than enough to deal with the early game clones. But Clem has hidden it here. He's made it look very much like your more standard 1-1-1. You got your Hellions, maybe a Reaper at the start, but behind it, nothing too much to worry about. But Clem is going to give Dark certainly something to worry about, with more clones on the way. The Overlord has not spotted. He doesn't know about the 3rd command center. He doesn't know about the 2nd factory. Dark will be in the himself about this. And I'm not sure of any way to get out of it at the moment, unless he's willing to sacrifice this Overlord, which I like this detail. This has to be intentional. He's put it a little further in. He could always just move back to the little pervert pillar here. Yeah, single Marine, a bit suspicious. Only a little. And Clem obviously getting some inspiration from his 4-lettered friend, who's now his teammate, by the way. May I welcome the newest member of Team Liquid. It's Cure. Yes, congratulations to the People's Terran joining Clem. And maybe giving him some tips against Dark. Cure recently has had some decent success against him. He's like, no, just build the Cyclones, Clem. Just do it. It'll work. Just build them. See what happens. Not everyone is Cyril. Well, and this battle clone build here. The Hellions covering. The Zerglings are roasted immediately. The Queens being targeted. The Hellions providing much of a buffer. Clem able to take down some of the Queens. They're literally providing a meat shield, trying to give Dark enough time to build anything else. Dark is kind of panicking. He's building a Roach one right now, but he clearly wasn't ready for the sheer amount of speed clones. And the Queens will be slaughtered. There's 12... The army's 12 Zerglings. That is not enough. Zerglings or otherwise. 12 Zerglings, can barely solve a handful of SCVs, let alone this many Cyclones and Hellions. He masked it well enough. Dark didn't sacrifice an Overlord. He didn't poke in for more information. He didn't realize he might need that Roach Warren. Like the first game in quite a while, I've seen Dark forego the Roach Warren. Well, I don't think we'll be seeing that again. That's my summary of this. And behind it, having 2 factories isn't bad at all. Clem does have his barracks already up. He's already got Stim done, starting 1-1. The upgrades. Now, Dark isn't out of this. He's just lost a lot of potential momentum. The Banelings are rolling in. Baneling speed is done. Of course, less HP than before, but still a real threat. The Cyclones kind of awkwardly stuttering. They can't get their lock on until they actually stop moving, even if it's only for a split second, which does create some kind of awkward micro where you want to stutter step, but like micro stutters. No, that's not lag. That's micro. I know. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Cyclones come back. And Dark? Well, 56 drones against 66 SCVs. And of course, the mules are dropping. SCV's gonna repair the clones up. Infestation bit on the way. It looks like Dark maybe gonna reach for the infestors as an option to try to drag himself back into this. As make no mistake, it is on Dark to figure out a way back into this game. You can't lose all of your queens. Losing all of your queens like that is the equivalent of essentially losing all of your add-ons for Terran. Without having the ability to larva inject, you can't take... Well, look at Dark's Spinnerals. He's sitting on... He has 5 queens now, but there's clearly been quite a time where he wasn't able to keep up with that level of production. And that's what happens when queens go extinct, if only temporarily. Clem, I mean, as a Frenchman, is well experienced in eliminating large amounts of queens, but so far has not quite ended Dark entirely. 160 to 150 supply. A bit misleading considering the value of it. Clem. On the creep now. There are some infestors on the way. Notably not a hive, but instead just infestors themselves. Did Dark just cancel +2 Carapace for a hive? He may have. I'm not sure what I was seeing there. But road speed is done. Clem poking and prodding on both sides. Just trying to probe for weakness here. Dark doesn't have anything that can easily deal with medevacs. Just deflect them for now. Roach Ravager on the left flank. Dark at 66 drones, adding a few more, but Clem is helping him maintain that consistent number. Kill 7. Hive, is that another Bane Nest? You never know. It's one of the, this is one of those scenarios, I think. Okay, did he mean to build something else, or did he just forget he had a Bane Nest? He's building Baneling, so... Well, you never know when you need a decoy Bane Nest. Yep, he's got 2 now. Build twice as fast. What if they did, though? Clem with a deadly amount of army supply. He's got 2-2 on the way. Dark is amputating his hatchery, I think. He knows he's not going to be able to hold on to it. He's supply blocked at 172 over 158. It's not going to get any easier in the near future. Bungle knocks out most of the Marines over to the right. In fact, gets all of them. Well, eventually. A scan of the main spots the hive completed. Adrenal glands begins. With the Zerglings, a massive attack speed buff. But, well, +2 finishing attack, melee attack, and infantry weapons. Clem still has the army to beat. 3 Vipers on the way. I don't believe there's a Ghost Academy. No, not yet. So if Dark survives a bit longer, he may have a capable army, but Clem's still knocking down bases. The 3 Vipers about to complete. The Ghost Academy isn't too far off, though. Clem understanding. What? What? Dark burrows like 20 Banelings here. All but 1. I don't know if that's intentional, but unfortunately, Clem is on the other side of the map with his tank push. Dark is maxed out, but much of his potential army is burrowed outside Clem's third. A bold move, but with that sort of tank spread, I can't believe it's not butter. That's going to be very hard to break. Even with a few good blinding clouds, it's going to take more than a few. But he unsieges some of the tanks. Some corrosive bows thrown up. Not going to find anything coming down. He's got the Vipers. He's got the Infestors. The Wombo combo potential is there. Dark. Clem is being very careful. I think he's gonna see, he definitely sees the Vipers there. More Banelings coming in. Oh, somehow the Infestor lives. A single Marine, though, chasing it. All right, Blinding Cloud on the initial tanks, making his way by, looking for more. And more Blinding Clouds, but the tank line runs deep here. Not deep enough to stop Dark from clearing it up. It looks like the Banelings were dragged back from underground. And Clem actually ends up losing a lot of his army there. Dark with a comfortable cleanup. He had enough Vipers. And a couple Infestors certainly didn't hurt. Dark will survive. And in fact, that is a turning point. Dark now has... Oh my god, what is going on down? What is this? Get out of the way! It's now Dark who's going to be counterattacking. Honestly, Clem feels like he just didn't bring all of his weight to bear in that attack. It's not like he's in a particularly horrible position. Little does he know about the Infestors underneath. I think at this stage with Dark and with Clem, you just have to assume the Infestors are there. They're implied. At this stage of the game, when Burrow is clearly done and Infestors are on the field, Liberator, looking for an opportunity, finds it in the midst of things. Infestor just dies to siege tanks before it can get anything going. Banelings are rolling in. The first Ghost will be taken out somewhat unceremoniously. One up to the high ground, yanks some more tanks into the fray. More Blinding Clouds. Parasitic Bomb is melting through the medevacs, but Dark, he's lost 24 drones. The pathfinding will cost... In attacking the same location where Clem just lost his army, Dark made the same mistake. Trying to attack up to that high ground, he gets smashed by siege tanks, while a Liberator, and I believe a medevac drop, eviscerated his economy. He lost 26 drones and did not gain much for it. How many? There's not even the Ravagers here to deal with the Liberator. Dark. He came home, but there wasn't much to come back to. Clem with a precision strike on the economy during the most vulnerable moment. And now... I don't know how you come back from that. Like, look at the supply. Look at it. Clem has not lost a significant portion of his army. He hasn't lost... the third base lifted and dropped right back down. There's no Lurkers. There's no Brood Lords. There are Vipers and no more Infestors. But it just veers off. Parasitic Bomb will make these uncomfortable. It doesn't stack. Did he just refresh it? Does that work? I think so. The first one barely survives. Yeah, he refreshed it, and it continued up till the medevac actually died. Single Zergling. Clem, it feels like he's doing the Dark thing, of letting Dark back into it, just so he can beat him down again. I don't think that's quite the scenario we're looking at here, not as clearly as Dark sometimes, but Clem's army now. I mean, he's building half a dozen command centers. Okay, 4 command centers. He's scanning everything ahead of him. He's dragging the Zerglings out of position after killing the Queen with a 1 HP medevac left over. Dark is not maxed out. Parasitic Bomb useful. Another Parabomb on the medevacs here, but this base will be taken out. Another hatchery annexed as well. And Clem pulls back. He gets 2 key bases, and it costs him almost nothing. So... that's not a horrible trade. But... let's go, Clem! Dark is maxed out. It's just he doesn't have that late game army composition. There's so many ghosts on the field now. More corrosive bows thrown up. Maybe get a tank or two. But Clem lines up the snipes, forces the issue. +3 carapace is done. Building armor, building carapace is completed. But the Vipers, look at EMPs. He gets a parabomb, blinding cloud. Banelings are rolling down the ramp, but there's nothing left to hit. Clem just grinds him down. You really need those late game units like Lurkers and Broodlords to even compete with that sort of unit composition. And those late game units are very simply what Dark did not have. Clem with a relatively comfortable game one. Dark kind of trying to play an off-tempo style that doesn't pan out. I don't think that's the end of it. We're not going to see Clem walking across and winning. In fact, Clem making a few mistakes there, but overall, it seems somewhat inspired by his new teammate with that Cyclone build all the way into just a solid macro tank push. So yeah, I'm going to give Kira a little credit here. That's how he's been playing and finding success even against Dark. And Clem picking up a few pointers. I do think one of the big mistakes that Clem has made historically is trying to kill. Alright, going for the kill. Sometimes, especially with Terran, since you have such a technical army, if you just kind of blunder into a fight, that's how you lose 40-50 supply almost before you can look at it. That's when the Banelings roll in, the Fungals land, the Blinding Clouds. So Clem, he took the longer route, almost too long in my opinion, but ends up finding a relatively comfortable victory. Dark, on the other hand, I've never seen someone so easily brush off losses as Dark does. Some days I truly, it's almost a Zest-like, except Zest was like the cool kid in high school, okay? Maybe he doesn't care, but he still kind of cares whether you know he doesn't care. Maybe Zest hasn't been around for so long to speak for himself. Not that he necessarily would, but that we're getting a false impression of him. But Dark gives me that same vibe, but even less. Like, I will lose this series 0-3, but I'm going to play my way, and it's going to work. Enough for me to be in these series. He still is comfortably the second-ranked Zerg player in the world, behind Cyril. But he actually has a better ZVZ win rate than Cyril, which says something in and of itself. Which he understands Zerg just as well as the others. Clem, by the way, the only player to actually beat Cyril in a series, I believe, this entire year. Kira got damn close just a few weeks ago. In this same tournament, actually. World versus Korea from the World Team League. Please check them out. They're awesome. Jimmy, put it in the description. Like and subscribe. Check the description. Yes, it exists still. They didn't delete that like they did the dislike button. Well, I guess you can still I can see the dislikes. Okay. And if you have, like, basic YouTube extensions, you can see them. But the plebs can't. So that's what's important. Excluding the plebs. Moving on. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Clem. The only player to beat Cyril. Not once, but twice this year. And that's a lot. That is a lot. That is far more than anyone else. So, you know, that might adjust my... Especially Clem going up 1-0. May adjust... Can I take my prediction back and say Clem has the edge? Or is it a bit late for that? The Zerglings managed to slip by. Speed done a little quicker than usual. It is pre-3:30. The Zerglings gonna hunt down the Reaper. 2 SCVs and a Reaper isn't bad. I don't think Dark went for a speed rush, but instead just got that gas a little more quickly. It is quite mapped out, the timings. Behind it, how many factories? Just the one this time. I think Clem could have leaned on the Hell Clones a little more and still found success, but it definitely caught Dark off guard. That is a big struggle with the new Cyclone, both for Protoss and for Zerg, and to an extent for Terran, though they have more options directly against it, is you see a reactored factory now. And that doesn't necessarily tell you very much, as there are 3 distinct options. The Hellion, the Cyclone, and the Widowmine, which can all come out of that reactored factory. Now, you can make your guesses, but for both Protoss and Zerg, it is hard to get reliable information about what it's going to be without losing whatever you're trying to scout with. And usually something very costly. You can wander an Overlord in, maybe try a hallucinated Phoenix or something like that. But overall, by the time you want to tailor a response, the unit is already a threat on the field. And that, I think, is the big change with the new Cyclone. Not that it's necessarily good or bad, but it further dilutes the value of scouting information, which is a fancy way to say you don't really know what's coming, so you have to kind of play a one-size-fits-all defense. And that is what Dark is again putting together here. Yeah, no Roach Warren this time. Pretty confident he's not getting bamboozled by the clones. I think. Oh, when he got in, he saw the. I believe that was the starport there and the 3rd command center. So that gave him the extra information that he didn't need a Roach Warren because it's almost certainly not going to be mass clones. And you can technically deal with it with Ling Bane, but we saw how well that went last time. Double medevac drop. Takes out an Ovi. Upgrades on the way for his darkness. Clem heading across. Gonna sit at the edge of the creep. Try to keep it limited. The Queen's going to take offense to that. Get off my creep! Sorry, blacked out for a second there. Susan, would you calm down? There goes the 4th. Clem is able to deny the 4th base and keep the creep under control. The main objectives are accomplished here, especially for a Hydra, Ling, Bane sort of Zerg. You need the larva. Your production, your barracks are your hatcheries. So not having them is tantamount to not having production. Which means Dark is going to struggle to get enough units on the field to... He might have enough to defend, but those hatcheries are the difference between being able to defend and counterattack, or just be stuck on defense. That is the kind of thing we saw none of in the previous match. No counterattacks. There just simply weren't enough units on the field. I was hoping for that Bane burrow to be something, but alas. Clem playing some target practice here off creep. Oh my god. And he gets out. He's only lost a single Marine. I don't even know if he had 2 full medevacs to start. He's lost. Oh my god. He's lost 0 Marines. He's gonna deny another base. So yeah, he didn't even have full medevacs. He has yet to lose a Marine. I'm sure that'll change. I'm not sure, but I'm like 98. Alright. Coincidentally, the year Clem was born. Actually, no, I think it's later than that. Oh my god. Would you stop? I guess losing the medevac would count. Clem has still lost 0 Marines. Oh my god. He's killed 15, 25 minerals, 200 gas. The old-fashioned way. Men with drugs and guns. Not much has changed for the Terrans in almost 1,000 years. Oh, are we gonna see it? Finally, Billy? Billy! No! He lost like 4 of them! Might as well GG now. That's pretty much it. Dark does have a hive on the way. Does he have a lurker deck? No, not yet. And, I mean, against a mass Marine and soon-to-be Mines army, it would be certainly helpful. But Hydroling Bane should... Ooh, some tanks dropping out here. Clem has put together such a strong force. The efficiency... It's not like he's been passive. He's been on the edge of the creep, denying bases. Here he goes again. Another hatchery down. Dark cannot get a 4th. Clem is just hitting him left and right. I assume he's going to come up the center soon. It's the only option really unexplored. Dark is at 162 over 160 supply. Clem is maxed at 9 minutes. He's killed 2,000 minerals for 350. Absolutely obscene control here. Dark gonna try to take another fourth. Clem is already waiting to pounce on it. Setting up an army across the map. This is an immaculate game out of Clem. The Ursa DAC is kind of taking up a bunch of the bridge area. I wouldn't be surprised if Clem just takes it out because it's being so annoying. Look at the hitbox on that thing. A lot of comments to be made about that. There goes another base. Clem again. Dark is building up his supply, but Clem is making it take quite an effort. There are 3 medevacs over there. He's gonna pick up, get many of these out. The Widow Mines will burrow, but that's so many Marines! Oh my god, there's 75 Marines! It's almost equal with the Zergling count. Several Widow Mines on the front line will blunt the force of this attack. The siege tanks themselves will get in the way of things. The Hydra's Dark supply plummets immediately. The Marine line held. And oh my god, he's just tearing through him! Clem stands tall. He lost 38 by the end of the game, so it wasn't nearly as efficient as we saw earlier, but he was building 3 command centers behind this. Clem, he just bopped him. That was a bop right there. He just came up and killed him. Wow. Okay, that was certainly well, more one-sided than a Mobius strip there. Clem just Dark, hello? We've seen Dark hold on at 2-0, but like I was just talking about it. And so, well, both these games have looked pretty convincing for Clem. Dark flailing and coming up with no answer to Clem's near-perfect control. Honestly, Dark has gone for some kind of light early aggression with that quicker speed, and it feels like he just lost any momentum. Clem just did not give in. He gave nothing. Near-perfect micro. All right, Dark. Time for some of that dark magic. For better or worse, usually the way Dark is able to turn these things around are with what some might call underhanded tactics. I mean, I guess it doesn't get it doesn't get much more underhanded than Nidus Worms, as they're like a warp gate underground. So, last time we saw these two face, the match concluded with Dark burrowing multiple Niduses into Clem's main on this map to win the series. So that's not going to happen here either way, as Dark down 2-0, but I don't know what it is about this map, but players play really weird. I can't pin it on anything. In my opinion, the map is not particularly out there. In fact, it's almost aggressively standard. There's like a lane down the center. There's an option for a 3rd and 4th base. Yeah, we got a double Reaper. Is that the right spot? We're gonna find out. How many Reapers does he build? Same thing, same question. But yeah, this map has created some very odd games. I don't know if that's just confirmation bias. If the pros know something I don't, impossible. All right. I'm pretty much a grandmaster pro gamer myself. I just like to let the other players have a chance. I frown upon Cyril, who's almost as good as me, not doing the same. Well, actually, Cyril barely plays in anything but Premier tournaments, so I guess that counts. Meanwhile, Dark plays in essentially everything. Like, if you and the boys were having a trivia night down at Buffalo Esport Wings, and you were offering $50 for a best-of-3, then Dark would probably show up asking, like, how to sign up. That is my impression of Dark playing pro games this year. 3 CC for Clem. Again. Like, none of this has been all in. None of it's been... We've got the 3 per opener trying to keep control of things, but Dark heads out, gets his 3rd either way. Speed about to complete. Now this is the normal speed timing. You see finishing right around 3:35. So it's very... the most boring possible lecture you could listen to, but also the most important part of early game Zerg is larva management. Okay? When those little larva boys, those little slime potentials come out, they got so much they could do in life. And if they end up becoming Zerglings... Also, another important part of larva is if you don't use it, you lose it. Not literally, but in the sense of if you don't use one of the larvae generated by the hatchery itself, before larva inject, so about every 10, I believe it's 11 seconds, another larva pops out. You can have a max of 3 natural-born larvae. The queens, they have their own. It's different. But if you don't use any of that larva by the time you have 3 of them, which is just about 30 seconds, then you've essentially wasted the potential to rebuild another larva. And a lot of the time, with some early game builds, if you don't have the just the minerals, you're not able to use that larva quite in time, especially if you're going for a lot of queens and stuff. So, in going for the later speed with the quicker 3rd hatch, Dark has put himself in a position... Look at the drone count. This is what I'm saying. These are the little details. Just 1 or 2 more drones at the 1 minute mark can easily translate to 15 more at the 5 minute mark, and 30 more at the 7. And that, these tiny, like, several second differences essentially play out by the time we load into the game, because, honestly, in the past, Jimmy has notified me that the one thing we've done for viewer retention is skip the first minute or 2 of the game, because most nerds don't like math, which is a bit of a contradictory statement, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. But, yes, while these might be little interesting details, I think most people who aren't trying to look into the particulars of the Zerg economy can kind of get the result of it and still understand it. What I'm saying here is Dark really focused on getting every single drone possible instead of doing any sort of counterattack or overwhelming Clem. And now he has 63 drones to 48 SCVs. Now the question, of course, is, can he hold this timing? He does have 9 queens. They do have a lot of energy. But does he have a Bane Nest? No. This is a very dangerous attack. He actually wraps around the back with his Zergling. He's trying to minimize the damage of the Hellbats. It ain't working out so far. And into the 3rd. Dark may have bitten off more than he can chew. But he's got to try to digest it here, even without Corrosive Bile. The Hellbats being targeted down. The Medevac's starting to run out of energy, and overall they don't have enough. And the Queens are holding 9 drones down. So, if he had a Bane Nest just a little bit quicker and was able to build half a dozen or so, Dark easily could have held on to that. But, yeah, the larva inject suffering here. As you can see, no larva inject. He's adding another hatch, though. Down to 56 drones, but an infestation pit is on the way. And the key there is he killed all the factory units, which means now Clem is limited to Marines and Medevacs. And this time around, Dark has the upgrades. No longer is Clem going to be able to dance in and on and off the creep without being at severe risk of being surrounded and killed. Dark definitely a little greedier than he should have been there, but way less greedy than he could have been. And manages to survive. 5 more barracks on the way. Hive begins for Dark, 7.5 minutes. The Banelings, no speed, target practice for some of the Marines, but the rest struggling to close in. Dark already rebuilding drones here. All right. Whoop. Almost loses the medevac full. Well, Cyclone and a couple Marines, but still, the one with units in is clearly the most valuable. Dark now. There are 37 lings on the field. He has the macro hatch, a second macro hatch in the main. I love it. We were talking about that larva management. At this point, you're all about the quantity, especially since it's a mass ling Bane sort of style. There's no Hydra deck. There's no Spire. There's nothing but Zerglings and Banelings, and we'll probably see an Infestor or two pop out soon enough. Maybe Vipers. But we could very well be looking at an Ultralisk Cavern as well. As Dark sprinting up the tech tree here, climbing it sideways as he uses Lings and Banes to cover him until he can get straight up to Hive Tech. There's the Adrenal Glands. They're the Vipers. The upgrades will have to wait, as they take quite a bit longer than it takes actually to get up to Hive. But Dark has embraced a full Zerg mindset, whereas Clem, well, he's still got plenty. He's building so many Marine. What are we gonna build? Marines. Okay, and then what? Okay, listen closely. Write this down. Marines. But what about in the late game, sir? Okay, a few medevacs. And Marines. Ultralisk Cavern has begun. The Vipers begin consuming some energy. And a handful of Marines are coming in. There's not too many drones, but Dark now has the larva to easily replace any losses. Really, it's the mining locations that are the most important thing right now. It's important that Dark keeps his actual bases alive so we can mine from them and make it so larva is essentially a non-issue. So that should be the focus, and with all this Hive Tech going forward, Queens will strongly, politely, yet firmly insist them up. Well, hits them with the Bane Mine. It's not a big deal, but we're going to see a lot more scans, I think, after that. So, I like just one Bane Mine. Put the fear in his heart. And then no more. Don't bother with it. Not worth the effort. I love the refreshing of Parasitic Bomb. With all survivors. With no survivors. Anyways, the medevacs die with everyone inside. That's what I'm trying to say. Dark. This is by far the best game of the series yet for him. He's got 4-5 bases. He's got like 8 hatcheries. He's got Ultralisk with chitinous plating on the way. He's got Ultralisk speed queued up behind it. There is not a Ghost Academy on the field. Clem is, it's weird to say, but kind of all in right now on this unit composition. And while Marines are great, with no Marauders, well, here comes Dark to start things off. He's got the Vipers in front, Parasitic Bomb. There's nothing to stop them, really. Blinding Cloud on the tanks. Hits some of the Marines as well. They'll be forced to retreat back. Another Blinding Cloud on the back line. The Zerglings and Banelings continue to roll through. And Dark has run the table here. He will come between a rock and a command center place and be forced back for now. But the Lings and Banes will continue towards the center. And if Clem doesn't get ghosts out... 100 Zerglings in production. I think larva management is going quite well. Dark says how much... well, the Queen's asked Dark how much larva he needs. And Dark says, more! Never again will we be caught without it. 100 Zerglings and a smattering of Ultralisk, and Dark will remax out the 300 supply Zerg style. Will Clem hold the follow-up assault? Ultra speed is done. 3-3, neither side. Much closer for Dark here. Multiple command centers. A counterattack drop. He's just going to get the drones away. Parasitic Bomb on a big group of medevacs. Doesn't stack, but forces the split. Any microwave banelings rolling in. The planetary obliterated alongside a dozen or so SCVs. More Zerglings coming in. He loads up the command center with SCVs. Clem actually manages to hold the line while doing some counter damage here. The Ultras will be taken out. It looks like just stands there and takes it, but a few Zerglings made it into the third and will rack up the SCV kills. Looks like a hatchery was taken down by a double drop, but it was cleaned up as well. And Clem, his economy broken and his army battered, will just tap it out. Dark strikes back in a decisive macro game. The Ultralisk, the Zerglings, and just the sheer economic weight that Dark brought to the table Clem collapses under it. And that's more like it. Clem not really able to keep the pressure on. I don't know how much of that was a shift in the styles from Dark and how much was Clem choosing a more passive opener himself. But I think a combination of the two is where we end up when these two mix it together. And that brings us to Game 4. Alcyone. Dark is on the board with a strong Game 3. Honestly, well, that means at some point these two will even. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll even out, but every game has been pretty one-sided thus far. Games 1 and 2 quite decisively headed towards Clem. Few moments from Dark, but just never refound his footing. Game 2 was just all Clem all day, and that was, aside from the first attack, Dark just overwhelming the maxed out Terran. I don't know where that leaves us, but more games is my most excited part. My most exciting part? And we got more games, so that's good. Thumbs up. It's only a single Rax. One Rax expand, but at the front. Terrans have learned that if you wall off front with like barracks and factory, makes it that much harder. Makes it that much harder for the Zerg to break through. Of course, he is on the side of the map where you're potentially vulnerable with your add-ons. By the way, this is also a factor to an extent in Zerg versus Zerg. And what do I mean by that? The larva and the queens. Well, I guess in all matchups, but most commonly Zerg versus Zerg. Larva and queens always spawn to the south of the hatchery. The bottom side, like closest to the camera. So if Dark was on this side of the map, his drones would get to mining a little quicker, his queens would be better protected. Once again, this is most relevant by far in ZVZ when you're dealing with early Zerglings, but can factor into some later game in every matchup, though not nearly as much as those Terran add-ons. Double clone. Third command center on the way behind. Brenda! Does not like then again, does anyone? I don't even think Reapers like Reapers. That's pretty mean, but I stand by it. Alright, Reaper headed in. Almost gets a drone kill. The drone goes towards the Reaper. Gets the spore trick there. Couple Cyclones hanging out in the most ridiculous choke point for Cyclones to hang out in. Essentially impossible for Zerglings to get in there. Well, 2 Cyclones easily take out 1 leg. I'm not sure. Yeah, if there's a Hellion, that muddies things a bit. Is there a little Preserver dude in there? It's a hybrid. Yo, let the hybrid out. If you haven't yet caught it, we're playing Nightmare Mode Legacy of the Void. It is quite a nightmare. What if like you held the watchtower for a certain amount of time? You got the hybrid. Too much campaign. Alright. If I wanted AI units to be fighting across the map, I'd play a MOBA. Like, well, I know you play a MOBA, but at least you watch StarCraft too, so thumbs up. You know I'm in the League of Legends Winter. Okay, stop. Roaches on the 9 roach. No, that's a lot of roaches. That's like a lot of roaches. He really wants to smash these clones. This is kind of a more expeditionary force than any sort of all-in. The Zerglings almost take the bait there. Dark is clearly intent on aggression. He's gonna try to use that positioning on the add-ons against Clem. Stim may finish. But here come the roaches. And Cyclones may be okay against them. You gotta be careful not to get caught. The Zerglings on their way across. Dark will likely add a few Ravagers on. Gotta be actually a little careful. Oh, he already has a few Ravagers on their way across the map. And what else is there to defend? Stim is 10 seconds out, so that should finish up here. One Hellion caught and killed. More Roaches and Ravagers on the way. The medevacs are in production. A combat shield is not going to happen. Well, I don't know if the add-ons were on the inside to be any better against this unit composition, but here we go. The Cyclones dancing back and forth. Combat shield denied. Of course. Dark, slowly but surely battering down the walls. There goes the depot. I'm about to be supply blocked, but Stim is done on those Marines. The Zerglings are waiting for their opportunity. Clem hits the Stims, but the Zerglings come in just in time. And he tries to get the wraparound. Remember, it's only the 2 medevacs here. He could pick up and get out. Dark is droning behind this. He denied combat shield, which actually cuts into Clem's ability to counterattack severely. Marines without combat shield, after they hit the Stims, are easily torn apart by the Roaches and Zerglings. I think actually getting combat shield is the major victory here, out of anything else. Well, I mean, he didn't kill much else. He broke down the wall, but he successfully delayed the infrastructure and the follow-up push. Now the question will be if Dark can get enough to deal with Clem when he eventually does come out of his base. He's going for the Octo... I mean, look at the production line. I say that literally. 5 wrecks in production. I think there's a little bit of an offset there, so not a perfect Factorio player, Clem. In fact, barely using the factory at all. Oh, God. 1-1 on the way for Dark as well, but market difference, like 30 seconds, maybe 45 behind Clem. Wow, Clem just building out of the racks themselves. He really wants to hit this 1-1 timing hard. He knows that Dark is building up that economy now. He knows that Dark is going to become too big to fail. He doesn't want to end up in the same scenario as last game, where Dark just has too much too fast, and there's no way to fight back against it. Unfortunately, that may not be up to Clem. Well, he was clearly banking a lot of minerals if he was able to afford 5 barracks at exactly the same time. Hydralisk Den is on the way. Infestation bit nearly complete. One Infester could turn the tide. Now I'm poking back. Combat shield is now done. Notice Clem didn't even poke until he had it completed. The base to the top left, the Rich Vespine base. Alright, this is a very tense part of the game right now. Dark is building all the right stuff to crush Clem, but it's not done yet. His Lurker Den is still a long way off. The Infestors are not out. Even his upgrades are not quite completed yet. And every second will count when it comes to keeping Clem at bay. 1-1 done. Road speed done. Infestors are out. But the drops have yet to be dealt with, and the tank push is marching towards the 4th. The Infestors. Fungal! Decent connection to start. Corrosive Bells can't really follow it up. But Clem still working both sides here. He took out the hatchery. Another Fungal. Finds a good one, but the Corrosive Bells are completely off the mark, and the Marines will survive it. Alright, the Zerglings looking to overrun. Kind of a weird look to that fight there, but he gets the siege tanks. Probably the most valuable part of the army. And Clem does not do deadly damage, but he does whittle down Dark's economy somewhat. He's got 2 more factories on the way. I don't know if he caught wind of the Lurker Den.
Go, go, go!
He's not seen too... Oh, he has. He saw the Lurker Den. I don't know if he scanned or how he got info back there, but he saw the Lurker Den, and he's going with mass siege tank. Here we go yet again. And with so many Marines, he's not intimidated, though. Without Banelings here, there's nothing to stop the Terran army. Not with this critical mass of tanks and marines with medevacs to back them up. Dark will just lose the base. I like how Clem just stood there, up until the corrosive bowels were anywhere close. Another scan. The infestors should have enough energy for fungal. Indeed, rebuilding it. Should have it now. But Dark is back down to 3 mining bases. Clem has a 4th command center, but it's only now floating out. He does have a Ghost Academy on the way. He's got all this tank production. He's adding Marauders in. He's not all-inning a Marine tank. But he has followed it up here. Looks like some add-ons installed in the main. He's going to have 3 more tech labs. And that will facilitate some significant Ghost production. A scan into the main confirms a hive. So the worst has come to pass. And the infestors are spotted. But lurkers are breaking through the rocks. A very tenuous moment here. Clem is maxed out. He can't build ghosts. This is actually a mistake of a sort. He really needs to start ghost production or essentially not Marines. Having 60 Marines is great, but that is not the army he needs right now. Dark has made the most anti-Marine army pretty much he's capable of making. Mass Lurker Viper Infester. But some Marines getting whittled down. We see tanks and ghosts in production now to follow it up. Clem is trading away the brave Marines in favor of something with a bit more longevity. Though, what am I watching? What are you doing? Well, this is not as ideal a trade. Oh my god, he just dropped out of it. He was winning until the fungal turned it around. I can't believe he just started. But Dark strikes back. Yep, those are lurkers. Don't do it. Don't do it. He was thinking about dropping on it, but this is actually an absolute utter disaster. What has happened, Clem? What have you done? He was building the anti-lurker army, but he just flies over the infestors. He loses the planetary with 28 SCVs. Clem was stabilizing, and then he just flipped the table. I don't know what happened there. I think he got a little bit too excited for the medevac. Like, he just dropped on the Roach Ravager and made it work, which was pretty hilarious. But you can't drop on 10 lurkers. That's a cheese grater right there, and your Marines are the cheese. Well, Clem just lost most of the, at least, maybe not advantages, but most of the things that were allowing him to stay competitive. And now it has to rely on Dark making a big mistake. Oh my god, that tank. Trying to escape. There are 8 tanks on the field. Just gives up its sieges up there. Clem is on 3 bases. And this is very similar to Game 1. When both players were maxed out, but Clem clearly had the better army. Like, Dark had very little momentum. He didn't have the ability to rebuild. He had a limited economy. And even though they were both maxed, Dark lost the fight decisively. Now the roles are reversed. Clem has no ground left to give. His army is good, but he can't rebuild it. His economy is tenuous. He must survive several waves. The first tanks will not. Ghost moving up. I think the turrets took out a Viper, but oh wait. No, not quite. Yanks out some more. Gets 1. Oh god, that's a lot of lurkers. There are 15 lurkers on the field still. Clem is stimming across the map. The bio wants no part in this fight. They say, I'll be a cheese grater another day. At least I can fight Hydras. So he will try. And he's gonna rip apart a hatchery. The medevacs have joined up here. Where are you going? Some of the Marines and Marauders ran off here, which significantly weakens this potential counterattack. And again, Clem kind of dividing his own forces in a way that easily gets him conquered. The lurkers are still making their way through. Looks like they've been whittled down somewhat. But another lurker slips in. The meta, no, that's it. That's an absolute disaster. Yet again, Dark finds the medevacs with the Hydras. And yet again, Clem is knocked out of the sky. in that one, well, we're drawing closer here. But ooh, Clem struggling to hold it on. Dark seems to be gaining power over time, whereas Clem making some clear mistakes. But I think Clem is going to be happy to see what Game 5 is. I'm not entirely sure the veto, the pick ban process here. But we're going in to Radicet Station. The map inspired by King Sejong Station. King Sejong, one of the most Terran-favored maps in the history of relatively modern, not so modern, but Legacy of the Void, at least. So, with that, thank you again to the World Team League for putting on these World versus Korea matches. Clearly, quite an even one here. But I bring you to the final game, assuming it's not a draw, which I always got to put that in there because it adds suspense. And then talking about how it adds suspense, it kind of takes away from it, but not entirely, I think. Anyways, in the bottom left, looking at a reverse sweep. Clearly unshaken, unstirred by Clem's antics in the first couple games. The final boss. Once again, it's Dark. And unable to close it out, but still showing he can hang with them. Team Liquid's Clem. I think Clem just needs to buckle it down here. Dark really preyed on Clem. So Clem was settling into the late game, and then Dark just clocked him across the jaw with those lurkers. They just showed up, and they ruined the base. And Clem was clearly scrambling to deal with it. They didn't go into this methodical back-and-forth late game where the ghosts can play will they, won't they with infestors and lurkers. No. Dark just came in with everything and wiped Clem out. And he never recovered. Honestly, it started off... that combat shield. Alright. I don't want to blame it all on the combat shield. So I won't, but it certainly didn't help. What a series, though, yet again, these two. By the way, if you made it this far, we're gonna break the fourth wall a little more. And you haven't yet subscribed, you know what, that's fine. But, wait, can you hit the bell and not subscribe? I don't know how annoying the notifications are. I won't lie to you. I don't enable notifications for any YouTube channel. But I probably watch a bit less YouTube than many of you. No offense, because I want to watch good games for the fans, and I gotta cast them. Stop insulting your audience. So, I don't know how annoying it is, but if it's not too annoying, it'd be awesome to hit the bell. Recently I was talking, got a YouTube partner manager now, which is pretty cool to have a real person. Sure, they don't really say much besides telling me what YouTube features are that I already knew, because I've worked at YouTube, or worked with YouTube for longer than they have, but apparently the bell is still pretty meaningful, and the notifications. And just getting people interested. And we're going for 200,000 subscribers. Now, would it be great if 20% of them showed up to every video? Yeah, sure. But it certainly can't hurt. But I do want to thank you guys for watching. Over the last, this year, especially, I've started casting explicitly. Instead of just casting on stream and kind of throwing it on there, I put some extra effort in, extra time. Because I do truly enjoy casting good games for the fans. And I have a lot of fun with it. So hopefully you do as well. And hopefully you think it's improved in some way or another. And I'm always open to constructive feedback, even though feedback got nerfed years ago. It's still worth mentioning. So thank you for watching. I hope I make your day a little bit better. MECH! What is this madman doing? 5 factories. Clem. Hurricane thrusters. I don't know, Kev. That is quite a bold move. Just blind mech here. No battle, nothing. Just straight into fight. He's going in raw here. No sort of obfuscation. No pretending like he's going for a bio build. Straight up mass cyclone. We'll see how it goes. This is how Clem has chosen to play out this final game. Will Dark be ready for it? He has a Roach Warrant. He actually hasn't gotten Ling Speed, so I think that Roach Warrant is going to see a lot of use. Layer's about to complete. Melee attack is the choice here. And now all the factories are online. Clem took the pocket base. Dark also took the pocket base. 7 cyclones at a time. Oh my. Now we see. I've never seen quite this level of cyclones. It's usually been that early mid game, like what Cure has used to varying success. Despite all the hemming and hawing about the new cyclone, very few players have committed this hard. He is making like 7 clones at a time. He's acting like they're Marines. Got Blue Flame on the way. After Hurricane Thrusters. Mutalist Den. Spire. In production for Dark. The barracks gonna be used for some high ground. I'm pretty sure Dark caught a glimpse of the clones. He's gonna show one. Dark can click on it, and if he clicks on it, we can't see it with the observer overlay. If he clicks on it, he can see that it has speed. Or he may just notice it. Either way, we'll see if that prompts any sort of different response. No infestation pit in production. Oh my god. What are you doing? This madman. He scans the Spire and the Baneling Nest, neither of which is done yet. There's not going to be a better timing. No upgrades for the clones. 1-1 going to be done for Zerglings. Oh, Clem. I can't tell if he's trolling or if, like, this is the secret strat we were missing all along. And I think it's like 50-50. It depends on if he wins or loses, I think, at this point. He's hiding the scale of cyclones that he's committed to. Zergling speed isn't done yet. But the rest of the clones, who's flanking who? What is this madness? Well, the cyclones, a whole lot of Zerglings will draw fire. Clem with the awkward stutter step. The micro stutters. High ground vision, but Dark is rebuilding roaches. Just roaches and lings. The cyclones have a lot of value early. But when Dark has this much production, they seem to be less than effective. Well, in terms of cost, you gotta remember, the Cyclone is only $125.50 now. It's way more costly than a Roach, yes, but is not nearly the investment it was before. He has so many Cyclones, though. Oh my god. This madman. He's still built, well, at this point, you just get the upgrades. He's mixed a few tanks in. I think Dark has correctly realized. I'm not sure if Blinding Cloud works against the new Cyclone, because you technically still have the lock-on, but it is an auto attack. So I think we may actually answer that. I'm pretty sure the Blinding Cloud, it didn't work on the old one because the lock-on was a spell, such as it was, and Blinding Cloud doesn't block spells like Widowmines. But I'm not 100%. And this is actually, it seems like going to be our first opportunity to find out. Dark sweeps away the first wave here. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, some very odd creep spread. 1-1 is now done. And since the Cyclone now uses an auto attack. How many? 27 clones. Oh my. There's a Spire, by the way. Greater Spire. Think Broodlords would be pretty good. This is actually... I don't use clickbait terms easily, but this is pretty wild here. I don't know if Clem knows if this is a good idea either. Because it kind of looks like he's kind of just feeling it out as he goes along. He doesn't have a clear path. He's just maxed out, and he's decided now's the time. Greater Spire is on the way. Scans for the Broodlord says, well, probably should get this going as soon as possible. A lot of the Cyclones going to be surrounded and killed, but another group begun the Clone Wars have. The siege tanks, a big part of this. I don't think there are any corruptors. Infestors throws out a fungal, just holding him in place is a huge part of dealing with the clone. Making sure. Of course, it doesn't do too much damage to him, but Clem battered back, but continues reinforcing. He has 7 factories. Another fungal. Pretty easily dodged by most, except some unlucky Marines that were in there for some reason. Trying to micro back. A lot of the Cyclones bruised. Siege tanks surrounded at the front of the fight. Still a few in the back line, though. Clem is microing back. Dark is refilling. So far, Clem has lost way more gas. How many Cyclones? He's lost 34 clones. He still has 16 on the field. The Vipers are on the way. It does seem like Clem is making no progress. He has a 4th base, but he hasn't gotten anywhere close to doing real damage to Dark. And Dark is slowly but surely unlocking essentially the entire tech tree. 3-3. He's already got a Greater Spire, Vipers, Adrenal Glands, just... even flyer attack and ranged attack here. There's no ghosts for Clem. He's building 4 Vikings at a time. So going with the more conventional Terran mech. In the ground and in the sky. On the ground, rather. In the ground maybe soon, if this keeps up. A Corruptor's on the way, indicating he's finally ready for that Broodlord switch. The Roach Ravager easily taken out. A line of Cyclones here. The Roaches and Ravagers trade pretty well, especially on creep. Gonna try to chase this down. More clones on the way. 3-3 about to complete. +3 Carapace, the relevant bit. This is kind of Dark, freeing up supply for Greater Spire, rather, Broodlords. But the Viking count grows. The Vikings do pretty good damage on their own, and they will benefit from the plating upgrades here. For MECH. But some Vipers already on the field. I don't know if he's really revealed the sheer Viking count. He hasn't. There are no Corruptors. He's building 7 more, though, so I think Dark acknowledging that having any anti-air is going to be kind of important. And Parasitic Bomb is not a reliable option. This is a very interesting game, though. I'm kind of surprised we ended up here at Game 5. Nidus Worm? Just a tactical Nidus here to reinforce, maybe for the Queens. I see the Queens moving. It looks like they're just going to walk it out here. Another clone gang. Why not? I mean, you could get some creep spread off it, too. Another Hellion wanders by. Oh, he's going to work his way into the main with the Niduses. We finally got Game 5, Dark Nidus. All right, final match of the series. Name a more iconic combo. The Vikings will dodge onto the ground where they'll become surprisingly vulnerable to the Vikings. And Dark can now start. He can throw Queens into the main. He's got a foothold. And Cyclones don't work well in tight spaces. Where are you going with these clones, Clem? Is he going into a base trade? He's just going to try to build so much anti-air at home to take out the broods? The siege tanks are coming back. This angle, Dark. Usually this is for siege tanks and liberators, but Dark has used it against Clem here. And now Clem's own base is in the way. The ground army is popping out of multiple Niduses. The Viking count, Parasitic Bomb. He brings it away. Quarantines the Viking. Is there enough overall? More corrosive bowels dropping. Gets a fungal from the low ground, but the Corruptors were taken out. The Nidus is taken down. What a game. Vikings chasing down the Broodlords, and there's just no anti-air left. He'll throw a few more fungals out there. The Queens, where were you? Where were you with the Brood spell? 23 SCVs have been taken out, but Dark, well, he has the money to try it all again. 110 Zerglings, just looking to break his own record here. He decides that if Thors and Vikings, well, I guess, thematically accurate combo are gonna work out, the Zerglings could potentially undercut them. 44 Banelings in production. Didn't want to get too crazy, only 44. He still has 67 Lings on the field. Coming in, the Cyclones will easily deal with them. These are 3-3. Ship weapons level 1 finally on the way, but the Vikings clearly didn't need it too badly. A few Tacta Broods here. The Cyclones have slowly but surely been winnowed out of the composition, as they clearly aren't stacking up in the late game. The rest of them will be unceremoniously destroyed here. The Zerglings looking to overrun. Another Nidus to the north. The siege tank's in a good position to help take this out. Clem has admitted that Ghosts would probably be quite helpful here. But the Ravagers and the Zerglings have already cleaved through a lot of the siege tanks. Most of the, no, you gotta kill the Nidus. The Vikings hit the deck yet again. Where are the smart servos? Halfway done. Okay, he's working on that. Clem could be losing this command center. The rocks are gonna be taken down. Opening up. Dark is expanding to Clem's quote-unquote gold. He's expanding to both golds at once. He takes out 2 ghosts there as well. Missile attacks level 3, flyer attacks 2, and flyer carapace 1, all completing or completed for Dark. As Clem goes into... he's building Marines now. I don't think that's intentional, but another Nidus. Clem didn't make any progress with the clones, but he has held on against the late game here. The question, it's so hard to actually end the game as Zerg on this map. Oh, Neuroparasite! Vikings a pretty good counter to Vikings. He drops them down, holds them in place for the Broodlords to knock them out. So finally, Dark has consented to play some Terran. And with it, is starting to break through the defense. The Banelings working on the planetary. Will roll through it. The Thors are not enough, and now he has to contend with the Infestors and Neuroparasite. Oh, he's actually broken through. I don't know who... It looks like Dark has actually built the hatchery to take down the mineral line. He's building a Tactonites. He's pre-burrowed the drones. How many... There's 7 orbitals, so I don't think Clem realizes this, but the drones have broken through the mineral wall. It's been an 18-minute effort. And he's finally got there. More scans. He sees the gold. Dark has most of the map here. Clem is pushed back directly to his side and no further. Though the snipes will battle back against the Broodlords. He's rebuilding Cyclones, of all things here. What is the ghost count? He's up to 11. Even with the mech army composition, the ghosts still reign supreme. There's really nothing to deal with the infestors otherwise. You're just gonna find your own army. Cyclone's pretty good in that they're not very valuable to neural. Well, here comes a whole lot of Zerg. Most of the army for Dark. The Vikings moving into position. The ghosts. Oh, corrosive bile will interrupt a lot of this. But the angle is very good for Clem here to line it up. And Dark, well, how did that go? Clem has now lost 1,000 less gas, turning it around from earlier. Ultras and Zerglings on the way. Orbital burns, landed back down before being repaired. The infestors are the major danger here. A scan, he spots him. Almost accidentally. He really essentially needs to always have scans. Dark. It's so hard to just break a Terran. He's so close to doing it. Clem is one bad fight. Dark is in on the doorstep here. He's on his front lawn. Ready to break through some more potentially. An Ultra slipping in as well. There's nothing else here. This is not going to go great. But this is Dark's distraction for another attack down south. These are only orbitals. And Dark starting to pick apart the defenses. Gets several siege tanks. 10 SCVs. The orbitals are forced to lift. And Clem, he's going to decide to fight the front line. Unfortunately, the fungals land on the Vikings. The Spore Crawler does a lot of damage as well. Clem feeling antsy here. And he might be right, as if he doesn't move out soon, well, Dark still has money in the bank. He can rebuild. Does Clem have enough to deal with these Zerglings? Lings and Ultras. Dark just heads towards the right flank. More Zerglings spotted. A tiny choke point. A single siege tank. The Hellbats trying to move to intercept. Another base targeted, and Clem just can't move around quick enough to deal with this. He may lose some more orbitals. He loses another planetary. It's getting more and more difficult. Looks like Dark will consent to rip his arms and legs off instead of going directly for his heart. And for the same reason it's so hard to outright win the game, makes it hard for Clem to even defend here. There's just so much space in between the bases. And it's so hard to catch up to this sort of army. Dark is picking him apart. Death by 1,000 Zerglings. Half 1,000. The Infestor is still going around. Clem actually has a larger army supply right now. That won't last. A single Infestor throws out a fungal. There are no medevacs. Though he did just kill the last overseer, I believe. Needs some more scans for the Infestors, potentially. Throws out another fungal. The Ghosts will retreat. The Vikings here to hold the line. The Thor's so hard to kill. Clem losing most of his production and economy back at home. Steals away one of the Thors. Decides against it, or he just lost the Infestor. I'm not sure which. The Ghosts on the back line. Dark is just running through. Even though he doesn't have detection, the Banelings still explode. And there's just nothing left here. Dark will cut him down. 3 games in a row. It wasn't easy. It was quite a struggle. Clem breaking out a mass Cyclone build. Losing nearly 69 Cyclones by the end. But what? Wow, what a series. That one was all over the place. That was certainly one of the most dynamic series we've seen, which is a nice way of saying a bit confusing, confounding, but at the same time, I think entertaining. If you agree, be awesome. If you got the means of motivation, check out Patreon, YouTube membership, and of course, the World Team League info in the description after you like and subscribe. Jimmy, put it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day. Pretty significant chunk of it a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.